Pulangkan ini ada gaya gaya pulang namanya pasang no meditation namanya meditation dari meditation kemudian itu hal namanya meditation ini baru ini hampir ada pindah
Let us begin with metta recital. All meditation, especially since this is a metta retreat or Brahma Vihara retreat, and we are going to talk on uh, loving kindness, compassion, altruistic joy, and equanimity. Today, we want to focus our mind on metta. Now let me recite the metta passages, and you can listen to it, and then we start the practice. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth. May all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another, as the mother would risk her own life to protect her only child. Even so, towards all living beings, one should cultivate the boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world the heart of boundless loving friendliness above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hatred or resentment. Whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or in a way, one should develop this mindfulness. This is called divine. Not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, a moment desire for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth. Okay, we turn off the light. Turn off the light. All right. And with this metta thought in mind, let us practice our meditation. Friends, metta is the basis of any kind of meditation, because during meditation, sometimes resentment can arise, anger can arise due to certain incidents, certain conversations, and certain memories, and therefore we have to start the practice with metta to overcome those negative mental states. Now at this time, you take a deep breath and breathe out the entire breath. It is believed that we breathe in, and when we breathe out, we breathe out only 60% of our breath, 40% remain in our lungs. I suggest that you breathe out that 40% also, so that when you breathe in, you will have a breath lung full of breath. That will get a lot of oxygen that charges all the hemoglobin, red blood cells, depleted with oxygen, and then goes to heart pumps, and then this oxygen-rich red blood cells go through the body, charging every cells with oxygen. Therefore, the quality called the breath is body condition. Body conditioner. That is very true. Our body is conditioned by the oxygen that we breathe in and out. When we breathe out all the oxygen, lungs may have certain amount of carbon dioxide. We dilate our arteries, and then the air rich of oxygen will flow through the arteries, capillaries, little blood cells, and then again we lose it, and then we have to breathe again. This way we can gain understanding of how things are changing within ourselves. Every moment this happens. And then the body relaxes, mind relaxes, and that relaxed state of mind, metta takes root. When the mind and body are agitated, excited, tensed up, it is difficult to develop ultimate metta. So we breathe in, breathe out with this thought of metta in mind. We will talk more about it later in our talk. Now, let us begin with this and continue our breathing with metta in mind. Metta means loving friendliness. Believe that all in this hall are your friends. People sitting in front of you, behind you, on your side, all of them are your friends. Among friends, you feel comfortable, secure, and safe. And that is a very powerful vibration that emanates from your mind, body, and the whole practice, entire whole is charged with this metta vibration. And that is very real thing. And therefore we, each and every one of us can relax, feel peace, comfortable, and our practice will be very smooth. With these few words, we meditate till I end the Yes, one, um, seven, there is no concentration without wisdom, no wisdom without concentration. One who has both wisdom and concentration is close to peace and emancipation.
Sadaji Andrena.
Yeah.
Open करो. एक हाथ देना.
Okay. Okay, friends, I think you can turn on that light. Ah, this talk is on metta. As I said, anybody can practice metta, irrespective of their religious affiliation, geographical situation, and politics, economic, poverty, and so forth. Anybody can practice metta. There is no boundaries in practicing metta. Metta itself doesn't have any boundary. So I selected the discourse which shows how this is universally practiced. All living beings can practice metta. For instance, there is a discourse on in Samyutta Nikaya, Bojjhanga Samyutta, that is called Metta Sutta. Metta Sutta. And in that sutta, you have heard a lot of things about metta. But this particular discourse has a very deep, profound meaning. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling among the Holians, where there was a town called Holians named Halidavasana. At that time, there were a lot of monks who went on alms round to villages every day. One day these monks, dressed up and took the alms bowl and went to the Aliptavasana town. Then they found it was too early for them to go on Pindapata, and therefore they decided to visit some sectarian monasteries. That means those who are practicing not Buddhist teaching, their own different teaching they follow. Just like people like today, some follow Buddhist teaching, some follow Christian teaching, some follow Islam, some follow Buddhist, and so forth. They are practicing. So these monks sort of going to one of those sectarian monasteries. And then when they went there, they said they invited them, welcomed the monks, and then when they had a cordial discussion, casual discussion, these sectarians belonging to other wanderers, they asked friends, the ascetic Gautama teaches Dhamma to his disciples thus. Come bhikkhus, abandon 5 hindrances, corruptions of the mind that weakens wisdom, and thus pervading 1/4 with mind imbued with loving kindness. Likewise, the 2nd quarter, 3rd quarter, the 4th quarter, thus above, below, across, and everywhere. And do all as to oneself. Well pervading entire world with mind imbued with loving kindness, vast, exalted, measureless, without hostility, without ill will. Well pervading 1/4 with mind imbued with compassion, likewise the 2nd quarter, the 3rd quarter, the 4th quarter, thus above, below, across, everywhere, and to all as to oneself, well pervading vast, exalted, measureless, without hostility, without ill will, well pervading 1/4 with mind imbued with altruistic joy. Just like before, likewise the 2nd quarter, 1st quarter, and so forth, above, below, and across, everywhere, and all as to oneself, well pervading the entire world with mind imbued with joy, appreciative joy, vast, exalted, and so forth. And same goes with the equanimity. Now, that means they admitted that the Buddha was teaching his disciples to practice metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, loving friendliness, compassion, altruistic joy, and equanimity. And they admitted, we too, friends, teach the Dhamma to our disciples. Thus, come, friends, abandon the 5 hindrances. They said, we also follow that. Although they were not Buddhist per se, but they also follow that. They also teach us, his disciples, to practice loving friendliness, compassion, altruistic joy, and equanimity, and to all directions, all across. Buddhanga Tiriyata, Asambhadam Avyadam Asabhatam. We say, may all beings be in all directions, up, down, all across, that means 10 directions. We practice, according to Karaniya Metta Sutta, the metta recital that I recited and recite it every day at lunchtime. There we practice metta and send our loving friendly thought towards all living beings in all 10 directions. They said they also do that. That means in practice, in metta practice, there is no boundaries. Anybody can practice it. And then they ask, however, they said, what is the difference between ascetic Gautama and us? That is regarding the one Dhamma teaches, teaching and the other. Regarding one manner of instructions and the other. We give instruction to our disciples to practice these four sublime states, boundless states, and the same way you teacher, Gautama Buddha also teaches. What is the difference? We all are the same. We are bodies. We don't have any difference. So, and those bhikkhus neither delighted in nor rejected the statement of those foreigners without delighting in it, without rejecting it. This is a very, very noble attitude. They rose from their seats and left, thinking, we shall learn the meaning of this statement in the presence of the Buddha. Now, they ask us the difference, but we don't know how to tell the difference. We don't know the difference. Of course, they are very wonderful monks. They say, okay, let us go to the Buddha. That is our source of information. Buddha knows everything. So they got up and went to see the Buddha, and then they had respect for the Buddha and reported this conversation. Having paid homage to him, they sat down to one side and reported to him the entire discussion between those who understand themselves. Now, this is the most important part of this discourse. And friends, this is very different as well as very subtle and profound discourse. Very profound. Because when wanderers of other sects speak thus, they should be asked, friends, how is it liberated from the mind by loving kindness? Here this translation of the word loving kindness, he uses loving friendliness. Developed. What does it has its destination, its culmination, its fruit, its final goal? How is liberated the mind by compassion developed? What does it have as its destination, its culmination, its fruit, its final goal? And that goes Buddha the same thing about altruistic joy and equanimity. What does it have as its destination? King Gatika. Its culmination, King Parama. Its fruit, King Phala. Its final goal, King Pariyosama. Now, these four statements we have to understand. What it has its destination, its culmination, its fruit, and its goal. Actually, although the words are different, the meaning is the same. What is the goal? What is the destination? What is the culmination? What is the fruit? Yeah. You should have asked them these questions. So, with regard to all the four Brahma Vihara, then the Buddha said, being asked thus, those soldiers would not be able to reply, and further they would meet with vexation. They will get upset because they don't know this. For what reason? Because that would not be within their domain. I do not see anyone bhikkhus in this world with its devas, Mara, and Brahmas in this generation, with its ascetics and Brahmins. It is devas and humans who could satisfy the mind with an answer to these questions, except the Tathagata. Except the Tathagata. Nobody can answer these questions intelligently, satisfactorily. Nobody can answer. Because the Buddha was fully enlightened, perfectly enlightened. He knew everything with regard to metta, not only metta, with everything. Although he taught very little, and he knew much more than he taught. And how bhikkhus is the liberation of the mind, loving kindness, develop? How one should develop loving friendliness? What does it have? Its destination, its culmination, its fruit, its final goal. Here, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu develops the enlightenment factor of mindfulness accompanied by loving kindness. Now, this is the secret. Here, bhikkhus develops the enlightenment factor of mindfulness accompanied by loving friendliness. What is the factors of enlightenment? There are 7 factors of enlightenment. There is the abbreviated version, but the expanded version has 37 factors of enlightenment. They are called Bodhyanga. In Pali, Bodhyanga. Either 7 factors of enlightenment, Sattva or 37 of factors of enlightenment, Saptatrinsati Bodhipakya Dhamma. Now, one develops the enlightenment factor of mindfulness, accompanied by loving friendliness. Now, loving friendliness, compassion and so forth, all the 4 state practices we can practice. But the base is enlightenment factor of factor of enlightenment. That is Sati Sambhujanga. Sati means mindfulness. Mindfulness factor of enlightenment. The 7 factors are mindfulness factor of enlightenment, investigation factor of enlightenment, right effort or energy factor of enlightenment, joy factor of enlightenment, tranquility factor of enlightenment, concentration factor of enlightenment, and equanimity factor of enlightenment. Sati Sambojjhanga, Dhamma Sambojjhanga, Virya Sambojjhanga, Piti Sambojjhanga, Asati Sambojjhanga, Samana Sambojjhanga, Upekha Sambojjhanga. These bojjhangas, the factors of enlightenment you can practice, accompanied by loving friendliness. We practice these factors of enlightenment, endowed with, together with, accompanied by loving friendliness, accompanied by compassion, accompanied by altruistic joy, accompanied by equanimity. All the 7 factors of enlightenment we can practice along with the 4 Brahma Viharas. 4 Brahma Viharas. And they practice and they also have 4 other states. That's called based on seclusion, dispersion, cessation, maturing in release. So, maturing in release. That is Viveka Nishita, Viraga Nishita, Nirodha Nishita, Vassabda Parinami. That means this practice is not mundane. This is supramundane practice. Supramundane practice. Not ordinary practice. Of course, we begin with ordinary practice. Then that would build up our momentum. And then one day we will realize this practice is not enough, not complete, and therefore we need very intensive practice, like going to a retreat, having some time off from our hustle, bustle, busy activities. And that is called Viveka Nishita. Viveka. Viveka has Kaya Viveka, Chitta Viveka, Upati Viveka, Patipasati Viveka. That means physical seclusion, mental seclusion, seclusion from clinging Upadi, and seclusion from total release, Nissara. Now, physical seclusion, even to practice metta, we need very quiet time. When a lot of activities are going on, it is difficult to practice metta because we are a lot of sound can bombard our mind. So we need physical seclusion. And we need concentration, mental seclusion. We need to withdraw from clinging. And we need total abandoning of our defilements. All these are important to practice metta and factors of enlightenment. And this is the release, maturing in release. So the final goal is total release. And then there is another part which is very, very important part. Mind becomes so imbued with metta, compassion, altruistic joy, and equanimity. This is not an ordinary state of mind. This is a very, very highly evolved, developed state of mind. Only in that state of mind, one can have these wishes. They can wish. If he wishes, may I dwell perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive. Okay. There are certain things that we don't like. Repulsive. With that particular state of mind, with a developed state of mind, with four Brahma Viharas, factors of enlightenment, the mind becomes so powerful and clean, impartial, the person would be able to wish that in the repulsive, that person wish to be unrepulsive. The mind is unrepulsive. Of the repulsive, he dwells perceiving the repulsive they are in that case. If he wishes, may I dwell perceiving the unrepulsive in the repulsive, first he sees in the repulsive, unrepulsive. Now he sees unrepulsive in the repulsive. Or if he wishes, may I dwell perceiving the repulsive in the unrepulsive, and the repulsive, he dwells perceiving repulsive therein. Here is repulsive, there is unrepulsive. He wants to wish unrepulsive and repulsive in both. He wants to see only repulsive. On the other hand, there is repulsive and unrepulsive. Then he wants to see unrepulsive in both. Or he wants to abandon both and practice equanimity. He can play with this mental state. Okay? And then, avoiding both unrepulsive and repulsive, may I dwell equanimous, mindful, and clear comprehending. Then he dwells therein equanimously, mindful, and clearly comprehending. Now, or else he enters and dwells in the deliverance of beautiful. Deliverance of beautiful. It is called Subhanti Adimutto Hoti. Subha means beautiful. Mind liberates from all the other idiosyncrasies and dwells in beautiful. What is beautiful? Metta is beautiful. Metta is good. Dwells in the deliverance of mindfulness. Beautiful. Because the liberation of mind by loving kindness has the beautiful as its culmination. Remember at the beginning, Buddha asked if you ask this separation, what is the culmination, what is the fruit, what is the goal, and so forth. In metta practice, This is the goal. What is the goal? Beautiful is the culmination. I say for a wise people here who has penetrated to superior liberation. Superior liberation. Not temporary liberation, but superior. What is superior liberation? Attaining enlightenment. Attaining Nibbana. So the mindfulness or metta practice, of course, these things we don't discuss very often. But if we sincerely, very seriously practice these four brahmacharas, when we practice among them mindful, whatever, loving friendliness, liberates your mind. It is first becomes very beautiful as its culmination. For a wise bhikkhu here who has not penetrated to superior liberation, that means one who has not attained enlightenment, that person has at least this beautiful state of mind. Beautiful mind. Friends, when we have loving friendliness, metta in our mind, everything is beautiful. Everything is beautiful. No hostility, no animosity, no enemy, no rivalry, no jealousy. Everything is very, very beautiful. If that person has not attained enlightenment, that person at least can have this beautiful mental state. In that beautiful mental state, you can see there are many benefits of metta practice. One benefit is that your mind, because the mind is so beautiful, free from hatred, free from anger, free from animosity. At that state, Buddha said in Metta and Sutta, giving 11 benefits, I emphasize only one of them, which is directly pertinent to this teaching, this explanation. That is, the mind will not be affected by fire, poison, and weapon. The metta, one who practices metta, will not be affected by fire, poison, and weapon. Do you think it is true? Suppose you practice metta, somebody comes behind you and stab you, the weapon doesn't go through you. Doesn't do, it goes. If somebody gives you a piece of cake to eat while you are practicing metta, you eat. The piece of cake has a poison, you consume it, poison goes inside. When somebody, while meditating, somebody comes and practicing metta, somebody comes behind and set fire on you, definitely that will burn you. What does this mean? That fire, poison, weapon does not affect us who practice metta. Because the person's mind is so pure and clean, no animosity. Can that prevent us from getting burned? No. What does it mean? Buddha never lies. Buddha never said anything impractical. That really means when we practice metta, fire of greed will not affect us. Fire of hatred will not affect us. Fire of delusion does not affect us. In Aditya Pariyaya Sutta, in this Bhavana book, you can see Chakumbeke Aditya, Rupi Aditya, and so forth. These are all on fire and blazing with what? Greed, hatred, and illusion. Mind is so pure, there is no room for hatred to arise. No room. Mind is so clean, so altruistic, there is no room for greed to arise. No room for rival to arise. And therefore, this is called beautiful as its culmination. Mind is so beautiful. No matter what other people say, it will not affect our mind. How much they try to hurt us, it doesn't affect our mind. Because the mind is so beautiful. And then that is the benefit and among 11 beneath one of them. And I want to emphasize that here. Then, when we practice compassion, I think there's something we will talk on that this afternoon. He will explain what it is. But its culmination is the same as other, but its final goal, I tell you, because the liberation of mind by compassion has the base or the infinity of space as its culmination, I say. For a wise bhikkhu here who has not penetrated to superior liberation. Now, if you practice loving, you practice compassion, through the practice of compassion, if you do not attain total liberation, you will attain base of infinity of space, whereas space is infinite. Now, when we practice jhana meditation, there is a jhana meditation divided into two categories, rupa jhana and arupa jhana. Rupa jhana is 4, arupa jhana are 4. Arupa jhana means immaterial attainment. It's called, in Pali, it's called subhati adimutto. The mind is pure, clean, and akasanancha ayatana. The mind is totally separated from anything material. So you have infinite, space is infinite. There will be an image in the mind that space is infinite. All the objects in the infinite space will disappear. Rupa Sanjana Amansikara. All other planets, stars, moons, suns, and so forth, all will totally melted, disappear in our mind. It is mental state. All will disappear, but simply infinite space remain in the mind. Now, to reach that, if the person has not attained full enlightenment, at least that person can attain the space of infinite consciousness, perception of infinite of space. That's a very wonderful state of attain by practicing compassion. When you practice compassion, this is the final goal of compassion. However, there is another way of using them to attain liberation that I talk maybe tomorrow or some other time. But that is the final goal of practice of compassion. Either you attain full enlightenment or you will have this infinite of space perception. Then we go to the next one, altruistic joy. What does it have as its destination, its culmination, its truth, its final goal? Practice the same as enlightenment fact as before we use as the basis. And also repulsion and so forth, as we mentioned. And then liberation from mind. And then because the liberation of mind by altruistic joy has the base of the infinity of consciousness. Infinity of consciousness. Now, Akasanachayana, the next one is Vijnanachayana. Vijnana. Infinity of consciousness. When we practice altruistic joy, mudita, I speak on that later on, maybe tomorrow. When we practice mudita, also eventually we can attain full enlightenment. If not, we can develop our infinity of consciousness as the culmination, Buddha said. As the culmination, I say, for a wise bhikkhu here who has not penetrated to the superior liberation. That means one who has not attained full enlightenment. That person can have at least, can attain the spiritual infinity of consciousness state. Vijnanancha ayatana. Ayatana means the dwelling place, house, staying place, faculty, ayatana. So the mind will then temporarily can lodge, stays in the state of infinity of consciousness. Then you go through the next one, last one, upekha. Upekha is the explanation of all of them there. By completely transcending the base of infinity of consciousness, aware that there is nothing, he enters and dwells in the base of nothingness. When you practice equanimity, you gain metta, karuna, mudita, upekha. Upekha means four paramajnana. When you practice that, he enters and dwells in the base of nothingness. That means a bhikkhu, the liberation of mind of equanimity has the base of nothingness as its culmination. I say, for a wise bhikkhu who has not penetrated to the superior liberation. Now, if he has not attained full enlightenment, that person can attain at least nothingness state. For the equanimous state of mind to stay in balance in everything, the mind developed a certain attitude that nothing is a matter. Nothing. All are no object. Previously we had the space of consciousness of space, perception of space, then perception of consciousness, infinity of consciousness, and now infinity of nothingness. Metta practice, you have beautiful state of mind, subhanti adimukto hoti. Karuna practice, you have infinity of space. Mudra practice, you have infinity of consciousness. And equanimity practice, you have infinity of nothingness. Now, if the person has not attained full enlightenment, this is what you can attain. And therefore, these four Brahmaviharas have mundane level and supramundane level. And therefore, it is not very simple practice. It's a very great practice. Although we recited, and all these practices have three levels. Verbal level, no, mental level, verbal level, and physical level. Mental level, we think. We think of loving friendliness. We think of compassion. We think of altruistic joy. We think of equanimity. We think. Then we put into words. That means with loving friendliness, we talk. We talk to people. We talk to animals. We talk to anybody with loving friendliness, with metta. That is a verbal level. Talk in conversations. If any thought arises in the mind which might hurt the other person, we immediately stop it and switch on to metta. Switch on to karuna. Switch on to altruistic joy. Switch on to equanimity. That is in verbal level. In action level, physical, we can do things to make others happy. We can do physically. We clean certain places, thinking that let others who see this clean place be happy. When we clean certain place, we keep in mind that let others who see this clean place be happy. We give something. We give something. Give something to animals. Any kind of animal, birds, fish, or so on. Thinking that let this animal live happily. That we do with love, metta. We do this with karuna. We do this joy. We do this equanimity. Without expecting anything in return. In both practices, We don't, in these three stages, we don't expect anything in return. When we practice metta, we don't expect anything in return. We cannot say, I send my metta to everybody but this guy. We cannot say that. Even that guy also should be in our metta practice. This, metta practice, as I said earlier, Buddha said boundless. Metta practice is boundless, but metta itself is limited. Metta itself is limited, but metta practice is boundless. You can see the difference between metta and metta practice. Metta is limited because it's mentally created. Whatever is mentally created is limited. But when we practice metta, there are objects outside objects. These outside objects are no limit. They don't have limit. For instance, we practice metta in 10 directions. Imagine that we start with the northern direction. Is there a limit to northern direction? The living being living in northern direction are limited? No. And all the 10 directions, you take each direction. The direction themselves are not limited because this is infinite of space. The universe is infinite. In this infinite space, infinite universe, no direction is finite. All are infinite. And the beings living in those directions, although we know a little bit about this world, but we don't know how many other beings are there in the rest of the universe. They all are infinite. Therefore, in the practice is infinite, but the metta itself is finite. There's a limit. It is limited by our mental states. And also metta is limited. And metta also can use to practice vipassana. How can we practice metta? How can we practice vipassana on the basis of metta? Metta is mentally created. Whatever is mentally created is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless. You can see this explanation in Attakanadara Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. You practice metta, and metta is whatever mentally created. Yang kinchi abhisankatang abhisanchetitan sampantam nirodha dhamma sampantam anityam dukkam piranam dhamma kaya dhamma vaya dhamma viraga dhamma nirodha dhamma sankatam patissampanna netam mama nesu amasa nesu atta. Buddha said, whatever is mentally created is impermanent, unsatisfactory, without self. It is not mine, it is not myself, it is not I. This is how we practice vipassana. We practice metta, and we understand the metta as mentally created. It is a mental state. Whatever is mental state is impermanent. Whenever we focus our mind on impermanence, that belongs to the vipassana practice. In vipassana, we practice anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanent, unsatisfactoriness, and selfless. Even metta practice is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless, because it is mentally created. Now, there is another part I want to talk, but I don't know how much time we have. In monks, because this is another section of metta. Monks, all the ways of making marriage leading to future happiness do not equal to a 16th part of mind liberation of loving kindness. All the metta practice we do, all other practices, we become generous, practice generosity, dana, practice morality, meditation, and so forth. All these practices, all the ways of making marriage leading to future happiness do not equal a 16th part of mind liberation of loving kindness. Mind liberation of loving kindness surpasses them and shines, blazes, and dazzles. So, loving kindness has such a powerful state. Just as radiance of the stars does not equal 16th part of the radiance of the moon, moon's radiance surpasses them and shines, blazes, and dazzles. So to all the grounds of making marriage, leading to a future happiness, not equal to 16th part of mind liberation of loving kindness. Just imagine a star and moon. When moon is shining on the cloud-free blue sky on full moon day, all the stars become, they are not shining. Their luminosity is minimal, but the moon's dazzle and shines. Just as the month of rainy season in the autumn when the sky is clear, a cloudless, the sun on ascending the sky dispels the darkness of peace, space and shines, blaze and dazzle do. So all the grounds for making marriage leading to future happiness do not equal to 16th part of the liberation of loving kindness. When sun shines in the cloudless blue sky, it dominates everything. Everything. All other lights have no place because the sun is so powerful. Buddha said similarly, when you practice loving kindness, it surpasses everything. Shines, blazes, and dazzles. So loving kindness is so powerful. So, just as in the last stage of the night, not yet dawn, a manner near morning star shines, blaze, and dazzle do so So do all grounds for making merit lead into future happiness do not equal to state part. No, morning star, nothing is equal to. This is the meaning of what the Blessed Ones so with regard to this say. And that's what Buddha said, then he explained it, then he recited some stanzas to make it, to bring all together as a summary. So friends, you can understand how powerful it is. I think this is enough for the morning's Dhamma talk, and I talk to you tomorrow in even more difficult part of this for Brahmana, mudita, mudita. And I wish you good luck in your practice. Okay.